quick on social media today on Facebook. Was a little memory that posted for me. I didn't open it up for you, but I posted 9 years ago
Yes, you did.
that,
I saw it.
that I was divinely inspired and a divine idea just moved through me. And it was this thing called Joyful Gathering. And I was meeting that Friday night with my good friend, Lou Doty, who did the music for me, and that was the beginning of Joyful Gathering. It took about 3 seconds to come up with the name, because it just was like, okay, and I listen. I've learned to listen to that intuitive voice. So really, today, or the Friday, maybe it was a couple of days, I'm gonna research that, was the first service, a Friday night in a little church in Berlin. You were there too, and I know a few of you were there, and it was a blast. And that was the beginning of whatever God let this unfold in all of its beauty, in all of its chaos, in all of its insanity, in all of its order, in all of its joy, in all of it. Because we have to embrace all of it. It's all part of our life, and this spiritual community represents that. We go through all kinds of stuff in our life, and I believe that we are always rooted in perfect order. And so that's what I'm going to hold on to, and I have you all hold on to that idea that divine order is always taking place. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what the circumstance is. There is a divine order that is always occurring. And so it is. So it is. So a woman's husband had been slipping in and out of a coma, from that to this, for several months. Yet she stayed by his side day and night and day. She was always there. And as she sat by him, he whispered with his eyes full of tears, "You know what? You've been with me through all of life's bad times. When I got fired, you were there to support me. When my business failed, you were there. When I got shot, you were there right by me. We lost the house, you stayed right here. When my health started to fail, you were still by my side. And you know what? What, my dear?" She leaned forward, her heart overflowing with all of that warmth that comes from such a statement. He goes, "I'm starting to believe that you're bad luck." Since the theme this month is luck, and we have been saying, what's luck got to do with it? And I think all of us truly believe, and we've deepened into that, we truly believe absolutely nothing. Luck has nothing to do with anything. Conscious choice has to do with everything. So, what really keeps us aligned and moving forward and creating the experiences in our lives is our connection with Source. How deep, how strong is your connection with Source? Our ability, we talked about this last week, to be in the world, but not of it. We're in this world, we are having all of these human experiences, but that divinity within us is not of this world. It is of the eternal life, because that's where the oneness, the unity, truly is. It's within each and every one of us, and it is immutable. It's not fate, it's not destiny, it's not luck that determines the experiences of our life. What does, as I said, is our connection with the divine, our ability to truly be in the world, to truly, truly be in the world, experience it, and then make that conscious choice of how you would like to respond to everything that takes place. Luck has nothing to do with it. But this month, we're combining, we have been, some fascinating scientific research, which we all love, right, with our powerful new thought. So this is what this is, a new thought, spirituality, to find that our lives are not up to the luck of the draw, as people say, the luck of the draw. But rather there are specific attitudes and precise ways of living that can cause it to seem either we drew that long stick or we drew the short stick of luck. And that just doesn't sit right with me. It's done in alignment with what we talk about, how empowered we are, what powerful beings we are. So if you recall from last week, I said that our work this month is based on this scientific study that was done over 10 years with thousands of volunteers by Robert Wiseman in England. That's where most of these luck experiments seem to take place, and some of the other incredible scientific research that we hear about. I don't know why, but it's always taking place in England. But he wrote a book, and this book is entitled The Luck Factor, and that's the book I've been quoting from this week. So out of this whole body of research, 10 years of research on luck, he concluded that there are certain attitudes that have proven that they have been, he proved them through his studies on thousands of people, to either provide us with luck or unluck. And I always put quotation marks, air quotation marks, around the word luck. People go through life either thinking they're lucky or unlucky. And I've seen it, I've heard people say it, and it just doesn't feel empowering to me. So we're taking one of those attitudes today, and we're going to look at that. And this is the attitude. Well, last week we talked about, if you were here, expectations. What do we really expect in life? And then we talked about embodying what we expected, really being the thing itself that we expect in life. And today, this is things lucky people, and I always use that, maximize. And it is what they already have and the opportunities before them. That's what we're going to talk about today. Maximize what you already have. You're all familiar with this, if you have heard Christian theology, the miracle of Jesus and the fish, right? Feeding 5,000 men, women, and children with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Imagine for a moment that you're in front of this big, hungry crowd of people who all want food. And they get into this mood that is called hangry, which I know that so many of us can understand. I came across a person that was hangry yesterday. Hungry, and then, because of low blood sugar drops, angry, right? So, what to do then? Imagine then that everyone is waiting in that crowd for you to give them food, and you ask them to hand you all the food they have, and all you get is from this little boy that gives you 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. What would you be thinking at that point? My guess is you might feel pretty discouraged. This situation comes up all the time, so often in our lives. So it's nothing new for us. We have this need or desire, and we look at what we have, which is great, usually. We look at what we have, and then we have this desire, this need for more. We want something more in our lives, nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we fall into the state of despair because we really believe we don't have enough. And then fear comes up, and we're overcome with this feeling of fear. The research that I'm quoting from says that people who have lucky experiences perceive things differently. These people experience luck are the ones who see that whatever they have to start with as a good beginning, and then they go into gratitude for what they have, because we really have much more than sometimes we think we have. So Jesus did not create enough food to feed all those people out of thin air. The abundant supply did not appear from nothingness. Rather, the food which fed the crowd was an expansion of the existing supply. 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish. He was grateful, and he blessed what he did have, and that's the key. He was grateful, and he blessed what was in front of him. An expansion occurs from that. If we learn to work with what we have, more will be given to us. It is one of the greatest laws of the universe. The attitude of gratitude. Being in that high frequency of gratitude. Basic universal law applies here, where form follows thought. Like attracts like. We hear this. Well, guess what? We are living it. So usually we're living it unconsciously. I'm inviting all of us to really take more of a conscious attitude in this and to trust in the universal good, which is abundance itself. So the basic universal law, form follows thought, light attracts light. If you focus your attention on what you have and be grateful for it, your consciousness will naturally expand. If you focus on what you don't have, that will follow suit too, and you will get more of what you don't have. It's the way it works, and it calls for discipline, it calls for consciousness, it calls for awareness, it calls for some kind of belief system that believes in a power for good that is the truth of who we are. That's what it calls for. If you focus on what you don't have, you're going to attract more than that. So positive or negative, whatever you emphasize in consciousness always expands. Can we all take that one in? Whatever you focus on in consciousness always expands. You cannot circumvent this principle. It is a spiritual law. I didn't make these things up. I tell you all the time, don't believe me. I have no idea most of the time what I'm talking about. But I do know. I do know what I believe in. And what I believe in are these spiritual principles, these natural laws of the universe, because they always work when we get rid of doubt and fear and trust the process. By the time that we're finished with all that worrying and fretting, then we're 98% of the time, if you focus on lack, 98% of the time, you're going to receive lack right back. I don't care if you throw in a couple of affirmations. Throw them in. It doesn't change anything. It's what you're focusing on. So, lucky people maximize what they already have through gratitude and the blessings that they are engaged in, and some very specific behavior. Because it is all thought, but with thought, you couple with thought, action. Always have to have that action. Lucky people maximize the opportunities before them. So we must act. We must act on the opportunities that are in front of us all the time. And sometimes they don't look like opportunities, but if it's a newness, and if it's change, and if you're being pulled into it, let me tell you, it's going to be an opportunity for something. And I've learned to follow that and not to fight it. Not to fight it, to do things the way they've always been done, because that feels safe. So sometimes we got to step to that ledge, and we got to see, are we going to jump? Are we going to spread our wings? Are we going to fly? Or are we going to retreat? So I'm encouraging all of us to fly. I'm not encouraging us to go to a ledge and jump off. That's like a metaphor. I am encouraging us to just take those leaps of faith. One of Dr. Wiseman's experiments went like this. It had two subjects, Brenda and Martin. They both agreed to participate. This is a study that's in his book, in this luck project. And they already completed all of the questionnaires, from which Dr. Wiseman gleaned that Brenda was plagued with unlucky experiences, and Martin always seems to have these lucky things take place in his life. Wiseman wanted to see whether there was a relationship between being lucky and unlucky, and how one acts and how another acts on opportunities. It's all on, these are opportunities. The experiment took place in a coffee shop with television cameras on the inside and the outside, and microphones were secretly placed inside to record what happened. Brenda and Martin were instructed to go to the coffee shop at different times and to wait until they were met by someone who was involved with this luck project. There were two potential opportunities for Martin and for Brenda. This is just a really good little example. The first was a £5 note, which if you're from England, you know is money. So there was a £5 note laying on the pavement and directly outside of that coffee shop, which Martin and Brenda would have to walk past in order to enter the coffee shop. The second was in the coffee shop. It was arranged so there were 4 tables. And at each table, there was a person involved in this experiment. One was a businessman who looked like a very successful businessman, and the others were just regular people all sitting at tables. So all these people were instructed to act in a certain way. Martin arrived first. He immediately found that £5 note, went into the coffee shop, and sat down, and once inside, he ordered coffee for himself and sat next to the successful-looking businessman. Within minutes, Martin had introduced himself to the man, and he offered to buy him coffee, and they proceeded to have this incredibly wonderful chat. They had a lovely conversation, and it was a really positive, uplifting experience. So after Martin left the shop, they placed another £5 note outside, and Brenda arrived. She walked right straight over it, didn't even see it, and into the coffee shop, where she sat down, and she went up and she ordered her coffee, and she also sat down next to that man, but she didn't speak at all. She didn't say a word. She sat there and drank her coffee. Later that afternoon, the interviewer asked each of them about any lucky or unlucky experiences they might have had that day. Brenda looked at Wiseman very blankly and said, "Nothing eventful happened in my life." Martin, however, gave a colorful description of how he found £5 and immediately went into this coffee shop, bought a cup of coffee, had this wonderful experience with this man, and he had just described it all as so delightful and uplifting. Same opportunities, very different experiences. You ever see that in life? Same opportunities. People get the same opportunities and come out with very opposite experiences. Something to pay attention to. People who have good luck act on their opportunities. Act on, see, there's that action word. And here's the cool thing. Living in this universe of unlimited potential and infinite opportunities, we are always at choice. The opportunities are there. The abundance is there, waiting for us to open up to it. Then it will flood our being. It's part of the infinite nature of this divine energy that we call God, and we call Source, and we can call it anything we want. But these spiritual laws, this is what I really believe in. I don't know anything about a lot of things I say, but I do know what I believe in. And I believe this is an abundant universe, and it's looking for ways to express itself. So as we open up, as we are open and receptive to this infinite good, it must come through us. It must come to us. It must. It's the way the cause, the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, all of these spiritual laws work. Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote this in the book. If we have had and apparently lost many opportunities, we must be shown that we stand at the point of limitless opportunity. That opportunity is right here today, that we see and grasp it. It recognizes us as we recognize it. We exist, he writes, in limitless opportunities which are forever seeking expression through us. And that's what our spirituality is based upon. And in the luck factor, Wiseman wrote this: lucky people are often convinced that their opportunities are a result of pure chance. They come across the right page on the internet, they turn to the right page in a newsletter, walk down the street at the right time, go to a party and meet the right person. But this is Wiseman writing. What my work revealed, that these seemingly chance opportunities are the result of lucky people's psychological makeup. The way they think and behave makes them far more likely than others to create, notice, and act upon chance opportunities in their lives. I discovered that being in the right place and the right time is actually all about being in the right state of mind. Being in the right state of mind. That's what it's about. Are you in the right state of mind? And here's a new definition of luck. Here's a new definition for you. Preparedness meets opportunity. Are you in that state of mind where you know and you are ready for the good to flood your being? When I of myself could no longer do anything? When you let go and let God, all of those places are opportunities for new beginnings. So I talked earlier, and I opened the talk with just this whole divine download that I received that really didn't make much sense to me. But before that even happened, I'm going to call this luck. Too bad Carol Mayo's not here. Her car wouldn't start today. But she was standing right next to me. And this woman, Leela Scala, who has a church, little church she lives in Berlin. And she comes up to me and says, I had a dream. And I saw you talking in front of all these people. And I'm like, really? She goes, you ever think about doing like a service at my, where she lived, my church? Really nice little place. And I said, I gotta think about that. And Carol was with me. Is that all right? Let's do it on a Friday night. I'll call up my buddy Lou Doty and we'll get together and we'll come and we'll do something. Was that a chance? I had been going through a lot of cleaning, self-cleaning, internal cleaning within myself for a couple of years before that. Did I plan on starting a spiritual center? No. I didn't plan that. But there was something in me that knew it, and something in me that seized the opportunity, because I didn't shut it down. I could have shut it down. I guess I wouldn't. That's crazy. I could have shut it down, but I did, and I followed it. It's been 9 years of following it. I can't wait for the next 9 years, because I know it's going to get better and better and better. Like attracts like. And each and every one of you in here, I believe that as you grasp that concept, your lives will also get better and better and more fulfilled, more fun, more joy in life, more living life to its fullness. So, my friend, if it's financial resources that you desire, be grateful and bless and use wisely that which you already have, and be prepared for the opportunities to create more than what even present themselves to you, to create even more with that, but to be open to it. If it's greater physical health and vitality you want, acknowledge and nurture and be grateful for what health you have right now. And be open to the opportunities that present themselves to you. If it's a new home, love and bless the space you're in right now. I don't care if it's in a car, if it's in one room. I mean, I manifested the house I'm living in against all kinds of numbers on papers and odds and all that stuff. I mean, a mortgage company gave me a mortgage, which was amazing because I had just left a 42-year marriage and I didn't have much money. But somehow I got it. And I was living in a friend of mine. I rented her small condo. And so I rented that. But I was so grateful for that space because it felt so safe and it felt so good. And I kept emptying it of her stuff, which in the long run was good for her. She had to put it in storage, but when I left, it was nice and clear for her to begin her life with. So nothing happens by chance, by luck. I believe the universe would always support me, and it did. If it's a loving relationship, be kind and loving to those people who are in your life right now. And so I tell the story of, I got to a place of wanting to manifest a relationship and what I wanted to feel in that relationship. And I kept knowing that there was one source, because I'm teaching at all these classes I teach, one source but many channels, right? So I'm thinking, well, I'm all over the internet. I mean, I got videos all over. My name is all over. People can come out of any of those channels. So I had been on a dating site. And I was like, I'm not going out with any of these people. This is like a joke, right? Really gonna meet for coffee? I don't think so. And but then this person with this face, right? It was such a kind face. I thought, oh, all right, I'll meet him. But it's not just for coffee. It's gonna be for dinner too. But and there he is right there. I just embarrassed the hell out of him. He told me he was a very private person. I said, well, meet me. But the point in telling you that story is I was this close to closing the channel because I judged that channel. And I was so close to changing it. And metaphysically, I went in within it. And I said, if I do that, I close a place where this relationship can come from. So that is a perfect example of really trusting in the process. So you have an assignment this week, and that's to be open to at least 2 opportunities. To really be open and to be out there with them and act on at least 2. At least 2. Take the action. Take a chance and see where it might lead you. So I want to close this morning with a reading, it's a prayer that Ernest Holmes wrote. I put it in all of your bulletins. You don't have to open it now. Because as I was reading it this morning, I thought, I think everybody's going to want to have this. And it's on page 306 of the Science of Mind textbook, but you have it too, to read whenever you want. So I invite you to just take a breath with me. And I'm going to read you these words written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. My opportunities are unlimited. There is a divine urge to express. It permeates me and fills all space and all people. All of my affairs are in its hands. To it are clearly visible the best ways, methods, and means for my greater expression. I leave my affairs in the hands of the principle, and I cooperate with it. Today, the possibilities of my experience are unlimited. The Spirit flows through me, inspiring me and sustaining that inspiration. I have ability and talent, and I am busy using them. This talent is divinely sustained and marketed under a universal plan of right action. Life opens before me, rich, full, abundant. My thought, which is the key to life, opens all doors for me. I am one with infinity, with divinity. I realize this unity. I proceed on my way, knowing that God goes with me into an eternal day of infinite opportunities. I have only to open the portals of my soul and accept that which is ready to express through me. Today I fling these portals wide. Today I am the instrument through which life flows. And so I am knowing fully and completely that each one here is a vessel through which this divine energy flows, and that each one is moving ahead in their lives in the most beautiful, successful, mind-blowing manners, ways that we could never imagine on our own. So we release all attachment to trying to figure it out, and we follow the divine guidance as it occurs in the pure state of its occurrence. And knowing this is done right here within each and every one of us, I let it be, knowing it is done, and so it is.
And so it is.
Woo!